Alrighty. Hi. Hi guys. Hi. Welcome to another episode. This is episode 3 of Just Another Teen Podcast. I'm so excited to be on episode 3. I'm so excited that we are making new strides in this project. This is something that I'm really, really excited about. I'm glad that we're having a good time. I'm glad that a lot of people are receiving my words, they're receiving my advice, they're receiving what I have to say. That has been absolutely phenomenal. I just love the fact that a lot of people are getting a lot of good things out of this because that's what I wanted. So it's really, really exciting to know that like a lot of people are really taking in what I'm saying and they're really just appreciating what I have to say and they're appreciating this project because I really just wanted this to be something that people can relate to and love and take part in. I don't know if you can tell, but a lot of things are changing. A lot of things are different. Okay, I have a lot of new things set up. We have Yoda back there. We have my dino over here. Mr. Bear is always here. I don't think I've ever introduced him to you, but this is Mr. Bear. Um, he belonged to my mom when she was 9 years old. She got him as a Christmas bear, oddly enough. I am recording this on Christmas. Um, so, Merry Christmas to all of you, and I hope that you had an amazing holiday. But he was a Christmas bear that my mom received when she was 9 years old, and I think one night I was just having really bad nightmares, and I was super anxious about sleeping, and so my mom had given him to me to kind of help me sleep. And so ever since then, he's been my best friend and he's been here. I'm really sorry for the rustling. I think it's raining outside, so I think that's what's going on. So I'm really, really sorry for the rustling if you can hear that. But yeah, so I've had him for a really long time, and he's a very, very old friend of mine. And I like to have him here on the podcast as a way to kind of calm my nerves and to kind of allow me to speak to you guys freely and kind of help me deal with a lot of my social anxiety or a lot of my being able to communicate in front of a camera. It really helps calm me down. Just being able to hold him and it just, I mean, I guess it's just a little tiny quirk. Like, I know that I'm 19 years old, and a lot of girls my age probably shouldn't have stuffed animals, but I'm so pro stuffed animals at any age. I mean, I think that they are such a great tool to help calm you down with a lot of anxiety that you might have. So I really think that if you are my age and you have stuffed animals, that's slay. That's so slay. That's so cool. I think that you're really, really cool. So yeah. Today I brought the dice earrings back. I really love the fuzzy dice. So I brought them back. And I also have back there, I don't know if you can tell, the jean pants back there. That is actually a pillow my mom made for me when I was younger. So yeah, I'm really happy to have this new kind of setup going on. I have different lighting. I have a new camera stand. So we're really just like really doing this thing. Like it's really happening. Um I remember when this was just a little idea that I had, and when I was telling people about it, no one really laughed at me, but there was a lot of like, okay, what would you even talk about? And in a certain way, like I didn't really know what I would talk about. But now that we're here and we're actually doing the thing, it seems like a really, really big deal. And it seems like it's really benefiting a lot of people. And a lot of people are listening to what I have to say. And that is all I could have ever asked for. All that I could have ever wanted is to really benefit people with this project. So if you're wondering what we're going to talk about today we're kind of just going to go through some end of the year things with the year winding down and New Year's coming around. I kind of wanted to just go through some lessons that I've learned throughout this year and different situations that I've been through that have helped me learn those lessons. And so before we get into like the meat of what I want to talk about today, of course, I'm going to go into our how are you doing because I just think it's a really beneficial part of the show. I think, um, if anything, I don't really spend a lot of my time actually thinking about how I'm doing. Even then, whenever I'm talking to friends, whenever they're texting me, a lot of the times, like when they ask me, how are you doing? A lot of the times I've repeated how I'm doing so many times between like talking to my family here at home or reconnecting with old friends. So like after a while, like you might go into it a couple times, but after a while, like it gets really repetitive. So you kind of get into that. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. So it's really like I really want to use this time to kind of break that cycle and to really have a place for you to just sit down and like really think about how you're doing and what you've been doing and what you've been up to, right? So, use this time to really just like think about how you're doing. I know the holidays are really hard for some people. I actually posted not a TikTok, I guess you would call it a reel since it's on Instagram Reels, but I posted an Instagram reel really giving advice to people on different ways that you can make the holidays less intolerable. I know a lot of people struggle with holidays, especially if you're like me and you're single and you don't necessarily have like that partner to talk to on the holidays, because that is one of the great parts about holidays like this is being able to have a person to talk to. But like if you don't have a person to talk to and you don't have a significant other, it can be kind of hard. Or and if that's something that you really struggle with a lot, you can be lonely for the holidays. So I posted a reel about it, giving tips and tricks on how to feel or like what to do when you do feel badly. But I actually saw an Instagram reel, um, and it was this girl who had basically did this challenge where every time she thought about him, so like I'm assuming the guy that she had been talking to or somebody that broke her heart, right? Every time she thought about him, she would get on the ground and she would do push-ups. She would do 10 push-ups. And so I actually started to adopt that. I adopted that practice of like every time I get depressed or like every time I'm like casually scrolling on Instagram or like I'm casually scrolling through TikTok and I see something and I think to myself, oh, I wish I had that, or I wish I was like that, or I wish I had this kind of person, I would get down and do 10 push-ups. And so I've been really doing that. I mean, I don't recommend it unless you want to do it, but um I've been doing that lately and it's really been helping me a lot. So um yeah, I mean, it's really been helping me a lot with managing my emotions and managing my feelings. So if you want to try that, you can try that, but like obviously you don't have to try that. That's just what I'm doing. But sorry to completely get off topic. How are you doing? What have you been up to? What did you do during the holiday season? And I want to give you that time to have that conversation now. So yeah. How are you doing? What have you been doing? What have you been doing during this holiday season? What have you been doing during your break if you got a break? And how's that going? So, yeah. Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. I really hope that you use that time to just really process your feelings, process how you've been lately. If you're asking me how I've been, I feel a lot better. The last couple episodes, I've been sick. I haven't been feeling that well, but I've been feeling a lot better lately. I have a little bit of a sore throat here and there, but overall, I'm feeling a lot better. I'm a little stuffy still, so like if you hear me like doing like that a little bit, I am a little stuffy. But other than that, like I'm feeling a lot better. Like I said, I'm recording this on Christmas Day, so that's a huge thing as well. Um, but I'm feeling a lot better. I'm really glad to be here with my family. I'm really glad to be spending time in my hometown. And I'm really glad to just be able to make these videos for you guys and be here for you guys. So, um, yeah, I really hope that you really benefited from that time. You really used that time. And I'm so glad that you're still here with me. I'm so glad that we were able to get to episode 3. I feel really blessed. I feel really supported. I feel really loved. And I hope that this project makes you feel the same way. I hope that it's blessing you. I hope that it's making you feel loved. And I hope that it's helping you love yourself, because that's the main goal of this project, I'd say the main goal of me being here and of you being here and us taking time to be here together is really just helping you love yourself, helping you become a better version of you, and just um, helping you process your emotions, helping you process your thoughts, and helping you become a more emotionally intelligent person. And that's what I want. And that's what I really want out of you, out of this project, and out of you listening to me. And I'm so glad that everyone is here. So, yeah. But like I promised, for the first time in this project ever, I decided to actually do homework. Okay, so here I've actually written a list of things that I've learned this year in 2023 that I want to bring into 2024. Like I said before, I really do just like to learn new things about every new season of my life. Every time I leave a season of my life, I like to really think about what worked, what didn't work, and what I can use from what I've learned about what didn't work, and kind of just better my life, better me as a person. And so that is the reason why I decided to list and explain 6 things that I've learned this year that I want to share with you, and I hope that they help better you as a person and they make you feel like you are growing and becoming a new and better version of yourself. So the first thing on my list here is the the only person who truly wants what's best for you is you, but we don't always know what's best for us. So in an earlier episode, I can't remember if it was 1 or 2, I really delved deep into a conversation about how we don't always know what's best for us, and I think that's true. And I used the story of me being in the play Clue, because I didn't necessarily want to play the part that I ended up playing, but ultimately it was the best experience that I could have had in the play. But to add on to that, I actually started this whole dialogue in the first part by saying the only person who truly wants what's best for you is you. So the key term here is I didn't use the word knows, right? I didn't use the word knows what's best for you. I used the word wants what's best for you. Only you want what's best for you. Okay, let's be honest. I think it was a couple years ago, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and I was going through a lot of stuff mentally, and I just really didn't feel like I was being supported by any of my friends at the time. And we were having a conversation, and I basically had said something along the lines of, I just feel like no one's there for me. I feel like at the end of the day, all I have is myself. And their response was, yeah, you're right. Oh, that's true. Like, it's tough, but it's true. And I remember I left that conversation upset at my friend, because I was like, what I really wanted to hear was that you supported me. Like, I wanted to hear that, no, you were going to be there to support me. You cared about me. You wanted to be there for me, right? But that wasn't the case. That wasn't the conversation. That's not what they had said to me. Um, and so I remembered being upset at my friend at the time, but then I realized at the end of the day, like, the only person who truly wants what's best for you is you, right? No one else on this earth is going to um want what's best for you. No one else on this earth is going to go out of their way to do something to benefit you, in the way that you would go out of your way to benefit you, right? In my ethics class, we talk a lot about what is it called? It's called ethical egoism, right? Wow, I'm putting terms into your brain. So ethical egoism is the idea that we all actively act in our own self-interest. So, for example, right? Let's say that you're hungry and you want a muffin. Okay, this is the best example I've ever heard. From a colleague of mine in one of my classes, in my ethics class, actually. He said, let's say that you're hungry and you want a muffin. Ethical egoism says that if you want a muffin and there's one muffin in the room, you are going to go and get that muffin because it benefits you. You're actively acting in your own self-interest. You don't care that somebody else in the room probably hasn't eaten today. You don't care that there may be a homeless man who hasn't eaten today in the room. You're going to go get that muffin because it's out of your own self-interest, right? And people in our society actively act that way. I mean, as a society, we all kind of act in our own self interest. We all do things that are going to ultimately benefit us, and we don't oftentimes think about how our actions are going to affect the people around us because at the end of the day, we don't care. We don't care how our actions um, hurt or help other people. We just know that we want to do what's best for us and we always want to look out for ourselves. And that's not always a bad thing because people tend to confuse ethical egoism with narcissism. And narcissism actually, putting more psychology into your brain, narcissism is actually a personality disorder. Okay. Here on the internet, we like to call people narcissists and say that they exhibit narcissist behavior, when in reality, we're actually throwing around a term that actually is a neurological disorder that people struggle with, that they can be treated for psychologically, right? So we really should stop throwing around the word narcissism when in reality we just live in an ethical egoist society, which there's nothing wrong with people acting in their own self-interest, because at the end of the day, if you don't act in your own self-interest, who else is going to? Who else is going to? Nobody else is going to. I think a lot of people, um they kind of want to exhibit this idea of selflessness because we value selflessness in our society. We value people acting in the benefit of other people, but I think we make more ethical egoist choices in our lives than we would like to imagine and that would like to think. Like, when's the last time you you went into a situation completely thinking about every single person that could be affected by the situation, that by the choice that you're making? I mean, every single person that your choice could make, that your choice could affect. Never. You've like and if you're saying right now in the back of your head, "Yeah, I've thought about other people and I think about other people before I make choices." Yes, you do, but you don't think about every single person that your choice could impact, right? Because, like, for example, and it's an endless cycle, right? Let's use my muffin example, right? Of course, it sounds horrible to say that I didn't think about the homeless guy in the corner that hasn't eaten all day, or somebody else in the room that hasn't eaten all day. But at the end of the day, right? You don't know that. You don't actively know that information. You don't know that the person next to you hasn't eaten all day. You don't know that that man over there is homeless. You don't know a lot of these things. So a lot of times we make choices because we just simply don't consider it. We don't consider other people because we don't have that inclination to do so, because we don't really relate to strangers or talk to strangers anymore, especially in the age of COVID, especially with social distancing. Because how can you go from a society that is being told to stay away from each other to a society that actually openly accepts conversation and being around other people? I mean, almost to the point where, like, if I'm sitting on the bus and I'm trying to get somewhere on the bus, if someone sits next to me, I actually think, why are you sitting next to me? Like, that's such a weird thing to think, right? But when you look at old videos of people on the bus and people on the subway, like, people are piled on top of each other. Everyone's sitting next to somebody else, maybe engaging in conversation, maybe talk to each other. But nowadays, whenever you go on the subway or you go on the bus, you ultimately see groups and groups of people just on their phones, have headphones on. Everyone's trying to avoid conversation. Everyone's trying to avoid eye contact because eye contact can lead to conversation, right? So I say all of that to say that you have to act in your own self-interest, because if you don't act in your own self-interest and you don't make choices and you don't do things in order to look out for yourself, then no one else is going to do that. But then also keep in mind that sometimes what you think is in your own self-interest isn't what's best for you. Okay? Sometimes, like for example, right? um this is a common one. Women and sometimes men will go after the more attractive person with more emotional baggage, or with more toxic behavior or more red flags, just because they're a more attractive person, or just because they're wrapped in a prettier package. But then you step back and you realize, I really could have had such a better life, or had way better circumstances if I would have left that person alone. I am guilty of that. I am guilty of entertaining a conversation with a man, or wanting to talk to a guy, or wanting to make a situation work because someone was attractive. I mean, have you ever been talking to one of your friends and you're basically listing off every single red flag of with a guy, every single red flag in a person, and and ultimately, right, when your friend's like, "Yeah, that's a red flag, maybe you should avoid them. Yeah, that's not a good thing, maybe you should avoid them." And your first response is, "But he's cute." but but he's cute. Like but he's a cute guy. Like, I think girls, we do that a lot. And I don't know what guys do because I'm not a guy, but I think as women, like, we do that a lot. Like, we do that a lot where we're like, even as a joke, like, we'll be like, but he's cute. Like, even though we know better, but like, but he's cute. Like, it's the same thing. It's the same thing of like, we think we know what's best for us because that person's attractive. And like, being able to be with someone that's attractive is what we think is best for us, but that's not always what's best for us, right? Or maybe we see, I had a situation where I had applied for a job, and I had really liked the job, and as I was applying for the job and I actually got the job and I was going on the onboarding to do the job, I had also been offered a job in the same kind of I guess in the same kind of work. I don't know how to say it. Why do I always blank on words in this episode? Like, can we count the amount of times that I forget I forget words in this project? But yeah, it was kind of in the same franchise, and it was a higher position, like a general manager kind of position. And I realized I knew nothing about the franchise. I knew nothing about working in this franchise, but I was much willing. I was like, I could get paid more to do this other job, but I've never even done this smaller job that's a part of this franchise. And so at that moment, I had chosen, I was like, you know what, I've already gotten this job, and I think that this is going to be better for me. Right. And now that I'm and now looking back on it, yeah, it was a better choice. It was definitely a better choice to just sit down and like do the lower paying job that's going to teach me everything that I need to know and how to do the job. And um I think looking back on it, it was a better choice. But that's a good example of how sometimes we think we know what's best for us because something sounds better, or something seems like it's going to be a better opportunity. But sometimes it's better to do something that might be a little easier, or might be more attainable or more approachable, because it's going to be best for us in the long run, because it's going to teach us more about how to be better at something, or how to get better at something over time, right? So that's mainly that first one. But the second one is simply says, slow down, you have the rest of your life to live. Slow down, you have the rest of your life to live. Now that can mean a lot of things, but when I read that, I automatically think about this pressure to want to find a life partner and get married, and just live and just live with your husband and have kids and all of that. Um I don't know where you're from or where you live, or um the type of people that you're around, but here in Ohio, there is a lot of pressure, especially if you are part of the Christian school community. There's a lot of pressure behind getting engaged, getting married, having a baby, doing all of those things, right? In my own Christian school that I went to when I was in seventh and eighth grade, there were a lot of people that once they got into high school, they were getting engaged. And I was like, I have friends that I went to school with that are engaged now. And I'm like, and like, there's no problem with that. I mean, I think at the end of the day, if you feel like you found your person, you found your person, and that is you. That is you. That is beautiful. But for the rest of us, right? I think it's so easy to see that and to automatically think, okay, well, what have I been doing with my life? I'm just sitting here going to college, and there are people out here getting married, and they're doing their own things, and like that's so crazy. Where's my partner? All jokes, all jokes. But I think, yeah, like it's so easy to kind of like, even if you don't seriously mean that, it's so easy to like internalize other people's choices and other people's lives. It's so easy to internalize that and think, am I behind? Am I um lagging? Am I behind in life? Um and I think that in a lot of ways it's so easy to think that, but then you have to remind yourself how old you are. I have to consistently remind myself I'm 19 and sometimes I forget to feed myself. What do I look like feeding a baby? There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way you would catch me with a small child. And it's even funnier because like I work with children now and like I work with babies and I'll see the babies and I'll be like, "Oh, these babies are so cute." And like you'll get baby fever and then you'll realize I haven't even eaten today. I haven't even eaten today. What makes me think that I'm going to be able to take care of this little being that needs to eat 3 times a day? I barely eat once a day. And that's because I forget. Not because of anything else. It's literally just because I will be I will be like, "Oh, I have to go cook a meal." And then I'll lay down and I'll take a nap and I'll wake up and I'll be like, "Oh, I didn't cook a meal." Or I'll go to work and I'll come back from work and I'll realize, "Oh, I still haven't eaten anything." That's crazy. So I just couldn't imagine. Like I just could not imagine being in a situation where I'm taking care of children and I have my own child and I have a husband and I'm literally 19. No. And I think that's the same thing that you have to remember for you. Like where you are in your life right now, sometimes you have to get through where you are now in order to be better for what is to come because I think like in earlier episodes I've talked a lot about how a lot of my accomplishments have like they overwhelm me. I think a lot about what I've done in my life and what I haven't done in my life and what I still need to do in my life. But I haven't taken a lot of time to just sit down and celebrate what I've already done and what I've already accomplished. And I think that especially at the young age that I'm in, I think I still have so many lessons to learn and things to learn as I grow older. And even though I am mature and I am doing all these things, and I do have this podcast and I am a smart, young, and intelligent black woman, right? Never in my life would I ever assume that I'm ready to be a mom or I'm ready to be a wife at this age. I'm 19. I'm 19. I'm literally I'm literally 19. Like I what what I mean like even to the point where like I will see like whenever I watch Teen Mom and I see how young those girls are, I'm like, "Oh, I could never. I could never." And I props to you, girl. Props to you because there's no way. There's no because what do you because at the end of the day, I wanted to cry when I had 4 papers due. But you mean to tell me I have 4 papers due and I want to work on my papers, but he crying because he want some milk? No, no, girl. And that's the reason why slow down. You have the rest of your life to you have the rest of your life to do those things. I think like it's so funny because like especially in the Christian community there's a huge emphasis on tomorrow is not promised, you know, You never know when the Lord's going to take you. You never know when you're going to die. You never know when your life circumstances are going to change. And you don't know when. That's true. That's true. But I think when I was thinking about this episode and conceptualizing this episode and conceptualizing the different lessons that I've learned in 2023, a major thing that I realized is that I want to live a life where, yes, I'm living my life to the fullest, and yes, I'm living like tomorrow is not promised, but I'm also living like I'm going to have to live with whatever choices I made the day before. Okay? Like, it's so easy for us to get into this whole live like we're young and live like tomorrow doesn't exist and live like like we're gonna die tomorrow. But then I'm like, and then I think to myself, I'm like, but I'm like, if I wake up the next day, I'm gonna have to live with whatever choices I made the day before. And I want to be proud of the choices I made the day before. I don't want to wake up the next morning thinking to myself, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And now I have to live the rest of my life like a little goofball knowing that I made that choice yesterday. So you have to have a balance, right? There has to be a balance of, yes, like I'm living like there is no tomorrow. Yes, I'm constantly taking chances and I'm constantly taking opportunities and I'm constantly living life to the fullest. But also you have to acknowledge the fact that, you know, tomorrow might exist, okay? So let's make sure that we're also living like tomorrow might exist because we don't want to regret our life choices either. So let's balance it out. So number 3 is someone telling you they care about you is pointless. Wait for them to show you. And that mainly came from the standpoint of when it came to dating for me. In 2023, I experienced a lot of situations and a lot of scenarios where I completely trusted when someone told me they cared about me. And you might be thinking to yourself, right? What's wrong with completely trusting somebody when they say that they care about you? Like, that's really dumb to not trust somebody when they say they care about you. But a lot of the times I would trust people without actually examining how they were actually treating me. Okay? So when I say someone telling you that they care about you is pointless, show them. Let them show you. Let them show you who they are and how they care about you. I mean, I think at the end of the day, right? Let's say you're getting this text message from this guy and this guy is telling you how much he cares about you or whatever, 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 but he only texts you once a day. How does that show that you care about me? How does it show that you care about me? What are you doing to show me that you care about me? And there's a plethora of things that someone can do. Checking in on you throughout the day, making sure that you're okay, um, actually wanting to talk to you. That's crazy, right? Actually liking women in this day and age is actually crazy. I mean, okay, let's talk about it really quickly because you know the amount of like media that I see nowadays, especially on Instagram Reels and especially just on TikTok too, of men that don't actually like women. Like, how are you going to call yourself a straight man and you don't actually like women? What do I mean by not actually like women? Disrespecting women, throwing a woman on her wedding day? Like you sumo flip her in her wedding dress? What? Wedding vows where you only objectify your woman? Like you're only objectifying her. Like you're not saying, "Oh, I can't wait to support you and love you for the rest of your life." Because that's what I would want to hear on my wedding day. On my wedding day, oh my gosh, if you don't tell me how much you love me and you support me and you care about me and you want to be there for me and you hope that we can just build an empire together and really just focus on becoming better versions of ourselves and growing together. If you sit up there and you talk about how you're excited that you get to have sex with me every day, what? My mom is in the crowd. My mom is right there. You just said that in front of my mother. I'm sorry. You said that in front of my mom. My mom is right there. I wouldn't say that in front of my mom. And you said that in front of my mom? No way. No way. No way. No way. No way. There's just no way. I mean, I just could not imagine. And so I'm sitting here. I'm sitting here thinking to myself that a lot of these people, you can tell that they've never, ever, 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 ever considered the fact that what people say, sometimes what people say can be a key to how they feel. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. Someone, what people say can be a key to how somebody feels about you. Like how people say things and what people say to you. Because after a while, somebody can only pretend to like you for so long. Like, like, have you ever been friends with somebody and maybe they have another friend that you don't exactly like, but you're pretending to kind of like be okay with them? And so after a while, like, I think it's funny because that happens a lot, that happens a lot in the Midwest because I think Midwesterners we're so passive aggressive. Like I feel like a lot of Midwesterners, we're not going to outright tell you that we don't like you, but the thing is like in the Midwest, it's kind of like being outright rude and aggressive is not a normal thing. So it's more or less kind of like a if I don't like you, I'm just not going to be pleasant. I'm not going to be rude, but I'm not going to be pleasant. Like I'm not going to go out of my way to make you feel comfortable, right? Like I'm going to let you know like you're going to feel the energy. You're going to feel the energy that I don't like you, but I'm not going to like straight up just say get out of my face. I don't like you. It's going to be more or less like a oh, oh yeah, yeah, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing. Like, I feel like using that as an example, I feel like a lot of people, are really just they're so into telling you like people are get so caught up in like hearing how they feel, hearing how someone else feels about you, but then they don't exactly examine the actions that they take. And the reason why I see that actions are so important is because especially when it comes to the world of dating from the standpoint of a woman, because this podcast is really, it's not necessarily just for women, but it is for teenagers, right? And so one thing I've learned as a woman who has been actively dating men is that a lot of the times men will say a lot, but what they do is really how they feel, and how they act is really how they feel. And sometimes you can't even believe that because of different things such as breadcrumbing and gaslighting and love bombing. Um, One thing about me is that I've done a lot of projects in the past on relationships, and I've done presentations on relationships and classes that I've had. I've had to sit down and have a lot of conversations about relationships and how I feel about relationships. And I think one thing that I've learned the most is that men are very action driven creatures. They're very much, um, the way you know a man cares about you and how you know a man cares about you is how he treats you and what he does around you, not necessarily what he says. Because men say a lot of things. They say a lot of things, but they do very little. If you find yourself having, so just a quick word of advice. If you find yourself having to beg a man to do something over and over and over again, such as, hey, text me back. Hey, call me. Hey, get me this. Can I please have this? Um, Not to say that's a dead giveaway that he doesn't care about you, but ultimately one thing I and I hate that if he wanted to he would most, like I've already talked about how I hate the movement of if he wanted to he would, but ultimately, right, after you've expressed a need or expressed a want, if that still hasn't happened, it's kind of like, girl, I don't think he likes you, but that's okay. Um, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is number 4. Not everyone deserves access to you. I actually had a conversation about this with a friend of mine the other day. We were talking about this because I think a lot of people um, haven't heard this advice before, but I've heard this a lot from my dad, really. I just have a really great dad, I think. My dad's just really cool. But one thing that he's told me for a really long time in my life is that not everybody deserves access to you, especially when it comes from the standpoint of a woman. Us women, um, some of the most not exactly expensive things that we can give to anyone is our time. Okay, your time is important. Who you spend your time with is important. Who you are valuing is important, and who you're allowing to have access to you, to your time, to your advice, to your body, that is important. And so, a lot of the times, one of the hardest lessons I've ever had to learn is limiting my access, limiting the amount of access that someone has to me. Because it's so easy to want to be accessible because you want to be there for people and you want to support people because ultimately for me especially I have a heart of wanting to support people and wanting to be there for people, but sometimes I have learned that some people use access as a way to really throw you off or as a way to kind of get you off of your game or to kind of demote you from being the best version of yourself. And so limiting people's access to you is a really good thing because it ultimately puts you in a position where you can keep your peace of mind. You can stay at peace with yourself because the more that you deal with people, the more that they're going to kind of use that access to you to benefit themselves. And sometimes you just need your alone time. You need time for you. You need time to be there for yourself. So take that, own that, and use that. Okay. Number 5, reach out whenever you need help. It really makes a difference. Okay. Reaching out is such a complex thing, especially when you've been raised to be independent. I know for me, I have kind of been raised to be more independent. If I'm having an issue, I like to deal with my own issue. Okay. I like to kind of, if I'm off my A game, if I'm not feeling like 100% myself, I don't like to let other people know that's how I feel. I don't like other people knowing that I'm not feeling 110%. And so, like, whenever I'm feeling off, whenever I'm not feeling like myself, whenever I don't feel like, I don't exactly feel like myself. The last thing I want to do is let everybody else know how I'm feeling. And I think that mainly has to do with how I was raised. Like in a lot of ways, like my dad really taught me like never let someone see you sweat. You really want to make sure that you're being the best version of yourself. And if somebody is making you feel like you're less than, don't let them know that they're making you feel that way. But you know, I kind of misinterpreted that in a lot of ways and kind of saw everyone around me as as someone who could take advantage of me not being 110% feeling like myself. And so keep in mind that not everybody out there is out to get you. Because I know the previous point, not everyone should have access to you, kind of makes you feel that way. But people who are trusted people, people who have supported you and have been there for you and have a pattern of being there for you, should be comfortable people to reach out to. And if you don't have someone that you feel comfortable reaching out to, find that person. Okay, find that person. I'm sure that there are multiple people in your life, or at least one person in your life that you feel comfortable talking to. Whoever you feel comfortable talking to, use that person as someone to reach out to. Because the moment that you feel isolated is the moment that any situation that you go through can be that thing to knock you down. Isolation is one of the worst things that you could do to yourself, especially when you're struggling with something, because isolation gives you the room to lie to yourself and say that you have nobody, and say that nobody cares about you, and say that you don't deserve anything or you don't deserve to have things. So I think reaching out, making sure that you have that community, making sure that you have that support system. Because I mean, one thing I've learned through therapy and yeah, through therapy is having a support system. Because whenever they would ask me, "Who's your support system?" I would always be like, "Why are you asking me that question?" That everybody asks me that question. I don't know. I don't know who my support system is. But they ask you that for a reason. And the reason why they ask you that is because they want to make sure that you have somebody that's going to talk you out of reckless behavior. That's going to make sure that they're being that voice of reason when you can't be a voice of reason for yourself. For me, as the advice friend, as somebody who tries to be strong for other people, I consistently find myself in a situation where um I feel as though I don't have someone to fall back on because I don't want to I don't want to inconvenience the other person. I don't want them to feel like they have to take me on, right? Because I feel like I'm going through a lot and I don't want that other person to feel what I'm feeling, so I keep it to myself. But sometimes having that support system and being able to find those people that are willing to take on your situation, willing to talk you through problems, even as the support friend, talking through your own issues. Because if you feel like you're the only person that can answer your own problems, still having someone to talk to will help you talk through your problems. There has been a plethora of times where, I might be talking to somebody who doesn't exactly have advice for me, but simply talking through that issue or talking through what I've been going through is the key to what makes me feel as though I can figure out my issue, because sometimes I answer my own problem or find my own advice or give myself advice just by talking through the scenario, just by talking through my problem. And so, lastly, I decided to save the best one for last. Um, but the last thing that I learned in 2023 is, I skipped it before, but it says some things that I need and deserve in this world are consistency, support, and appreciation. Those are three things I think every person deserves and needs in this world. Consistency. You deserve to have somebody in your life that is going to consistently be there for you through thick and thin. For me, I think that my group of friends here in Ohio are very consistent, right? I could go, I have this friend group of mine, and it's so funny. It's so funny whenever I talk about them because they're literally my favorite people in the world. But my two best friends, Destiny and Jadea, we have a friend group, and I remember one day I had named our friend group the Childless Gambinos. The joke behind the Childless Gambinos is that um, the joke is we're all trying to figure out who's going to have children first. And so the first person to have kids is going to be the person that gets booted off the island. Nobody's going to leave the friend group, obviously, but that's the whole joke. But they are a group of people that I could go months without talking to. I could go a year without talking to, but we could get on a phone call, we could meet up together, and we could just kick it. Even though we haven't seen each other for months, I literally saw them a couple of days ago, and I went months without talking to them. I went months without having a phone conversation with them. And I remember I had actually apologized to my friend. We were sitting there in the car having this long conversation because we hadn't talked to each other in a while. And I had basically told her, I said, I'm so sorry that I haven't been able to be there for you guys. I'm so sorry I haven't been on the phone with you guys like I used to be. And her automatic response was, that's okay. That's okay. I mean, it's fine. I totally get I totally get it. You've been through a lot of stuff. I've been going through a lot of stuff. If you didn't have time to talk to us, that's fine. We still love you. We still care about you. You're still our best friend. We don't care. That's fine. And so having that consistent person or those consistent people in your life, that is what everyone deserves. Everyone deserves to have consistency. Okay. The next thing, support. Everyone deserves support. To go back to my last thing about reaching out whenever you need help, everyone deserves to have someone to support them. You need someone to support you because support is a necessity in human life. If that one moment, like I said, that one moment that you are isolated, you feel like you're by yourself, and you feel like you have nobody, that's when those suicidal thoughts come in. Okay? That's when those thoughts of not feeling like you deserve anything or not feeling like you deserve to be loved come in. Okay? So make sure that you have that support. Make sure that you're seeking out that support and you're reaching out to get that support. Okay? And lastly, appreciation. Everyone deserves to be shown appreciation or being told that they are appreciated. I remember the 2 days ago when I had hung out with my friends, the Childless Gambinos, I almost started crying because I was talking to my friend Destiny about how much I appreciated our friendship and how our friendship as a group of three definitely wasn't something that I was expecting to happen because I had been in a group of three friendship before and it didn't work out. But as we all continue to grow together and we become adult friends, right? I'm learning that I appreciate sometimes, even though I don't realize how blessed I am to have that friendship with these two girls, right? I never really knew how much I loved our friendship or how much I needed our friendship until I realized that I had spent months and months without acknowledging it, and months without really talking to these people that I really knew that I loved and I really knew that I cared for. So making sure that you're showing people appreciation and you're appreciating what you have is something that you need. It's something that you deserve to have in your life. Okay? Now, those were my 6 lessons I learned in the year of 2023. I'm so happy that we are finally seeing another year. I'm so happy to be seeing another year. I'm happy that you're here for another year. I'm glad that you made it. I'm glad that you made it to this video. And I'm glad that you made it to another end of another episode of Just Another Teen Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. I've been Natalia, and I'm literally just another teen here to help you become a better version of yourself. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Mr. Bear says bye. He says hi and bye. And I'm just so happy that we started this journey. I'm so happy that we've been able to really grow this channel and to be teens together. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.